Yeah, sure. Yeah. So we're starting close
Okay,
now.
you're live.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. This is Dr. Eugene Sanders. I'm the Chief Executive Officer, Superintendent for Sandusky City Schools. And we're here this evening to offer some feedback and respond to questions from our parents and community members about the restart of school. Obviously, there's a lot of questions and comments and observations in the community. So we thought we would take some time this afternoon and just do a full Q&A, respond to questions that you might have. And we'll be monitoring our Facebook Live post and reading your questions live and responding to them. And then if there's information that requires a more detailed response, our team will get your email and a phone number, and we'll respond to you in the next 24 hours. I'm joined tonight by members of the senior leadership team. To my left is our Chief Financial Officer and Treasurer, Mr. Jeff Hall. To his left is Dr. Vilecia Cade. Dr. Cade is the district's Chief Academic Officer. And to my right is our Chief of Staff and Transformation Officer, Dr. Stephen Sturgill, and our Marketing and Communication Specialist, KK Pugh, will be monitoring our live Facebook activity and responding to any questions that you have. So if you have any questions for the Sandusky City Schools and our reopening plan, tonight we're going to spend time directly answering questions and getting feedback from you or observations that you may want to have. If you have a direct question, you want to call me at my office. My number is 419-984-1000, or you can email me directly at askdrsanders, ASKDRSANDERS at scs-k12.net. Look forward to hearing from you real soon. There are a couple of questions that came up at the last virtual forum, and we wanted to start out with a few of those basic questions. I'll give my team members an opportunity to provide some additional detail as needed. So for all of our students, please be advised that for you this year, the first day of school will be on Tuesday, September the 8th. That's your first day of school. And teachers will be reporting starting on August the 24th. And we'll have some professional development and related activities for you over the course of that time. And teachers will be moving into those in the pre-K 6 will be moving into new and different buildings. And to the question of technology, we are so proud to share that for the first time in our history, Sandusky City Schools, through the leadership of our school board, we are going to be providing a laptop, a technology device for every student in the district. And now parents, that device will come at a fee of $10, and we'll be collecting that fee prior to the start of school. And you'll get some information about how to pay that fee. But every single student in the district will receive a laptop from the district that you'll be able to use for your virtual learning activity. And as you know, also, we decided about a week ago, a few days ago now, that Sandusky City Schools will be on a virtual platform for the first 9 weeks of school. So let me repeat, for the first 9 weeks of school, all students in the district will be on a virtual platform, which means that you'll be learning through your laptop, through your technology, and you'll have an opportunity to interact with your teachers. Dr. Cade will probably give us some information a little later on about what that looks like and what that experience will be. And so one of the questions from last week is that, will there be an open house this year? And open house traditionally has been where all the families come in and you kind of get your schedule for the year. I'm going to ask Dr. Cade to talk a little bit about what we're calling it student orientation, and what the student orientation will look like for this year.
Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us. If you're joining us virtually, and hopefully we'll be able to provide more clarity around some of your questions. This year, we will have student orientation by grade band. And basically, when students come in, the pre-K 1, 2, and 3, 6 building, and all of the buildings actually will be reaching out to parents to schedule times. We will be asking that the child comes with one parent. We do not have enough space for families to bring additional people outside of the one parent because we'll have to wear the face coverings and socially distance. So in small groups, students will receive their technology device, and the student and the parent will receive training in the orientation regarding our Google Classroom structure and other digital tools that your child will be asked to use to support their learning. And so that'll take about 45 minutes. We'll ask you to sign off on a few papers, the device paper that you'll use the device and keep it safe and maintain it accordingly. A few other paperwork that we'll have around the parent Title I parent compact, in addition to your emergency, what's the emergency? Emergency medical authorization form. We will need updated information, especially since now we're going back to school during the pandemic. And so expect to stay between 40 and 45 minutes to get that instruction and training on your introduction to virtual learning. Thank you, Dr. Sanders.
And they'll be getting some communication, Dr. Cade, in terms of when that will be and how that'll be scheduled.
Yeah, so we'll have layered communication regarding that. There'll be some district level communication pieces on that you can expect from Mrs. Pugh's office, from Dr. Sanders, in addition to communications from your building principal and your teachers. So we'll have multiple touches of something will come to your house, we'll push out something through the app, we'll post something on the website, and we'll also post something on Facebook Live, on Facebook. Thank you.
One of the things I think you'll see differently, parents, this time around is a lot of the communication will be coming via grade band or by your building principal. Normally in the start of the school year, you get a welcome letter from me, which you'll still get, but a lot of the details about the specifics of the school experience will be delivered by our building principals. Dr. Sturgill, obviously athletics and sports is a big deal in Sandusky, go Blue Streaks. And there's a question about whether or not we're going to have athletics this year. And when we do go back to school in person, which we hope will be soon, there's a question about whether or not students have to wear uniforms in the Sandusky City Schools.
So the simple answer for both is yes. How's that, Doc?
That's pretty good.
Yeah, yes, we are having sports this year. We are following the guidelines under OHSAA for contact and non-contact sports. If you are following the news, football is a 6-game season with a playoff for everybody. So there is a change with that. Also, a change is no spectators for contact sports. And I know Mr. Coakley, our athletic director, is going to come out with some information about how families and our fans can view the games through an online service. So that'll be coming out shortly. Also, when it comes to student uniforms, yes, we will have it, but we have been reaching out to our leaders and also our parents and looking at doing some minor updates to the student wear. And so we will be coming out with a minor changes to that uniform policy here within the week.
So you can anticipate, folks, that in the next 3 to 5 days, you'll be getting some communication, and definitely before the start of school, a pretty comprehensive document in the mail, kind of outlining all of our goals for the year and student expectation and parent responsibilities. One of the questions that has continued to come out is a little bit about what the virtual school day will look like. I'm going to ask Dr. Cade in a moment to kind of give you a quick synopsis, a quick overview of what that might look like. And then there's a question of as to whether or not teachers will be teaching from home or from the building. And I'll be sending out a email communication tomorrow, actually, to all of our employee base, that the answer for teachers is yes. The expectation, the direction from my office and the Board of Education is that teachers will be teaching from their classrooms during the course of the school day, during our regular school hours. We're working on all the details of how that school day looks. We do have some information we can share with you tonight. But the expectation for all of our staff is that we'll be able to socially distance. We'll be able to have entrances that will help with our social distancing, and mask wearing will be a requirement for our faculty and staff in the course of the school day. I think a lot of parents, Dr. Cade, have been asking me about, and us about, what does the day look like in a digital format? And maybe Dr. Cade, talk a little bit about what might be different from what they experienced between March and June, because that's going to be a lot different than what they're going to experience starting on September the 8th.
Yes, thank you, Dr. Candy. You can anticipate that there'll be more virtual instruction going on in students within the Google Classroom platform. That Google Meets, the video conferencing component of Google Suites, students will have on average daily about 3 hours of virtual and explicit instruction with their teachers, okay, at the grade levels from first grade up to 12th grade. So typical 180 minutes of explicit required virtual instruction in their Google Meets, in addition to 120 minutes of assignments that students will be asked to complete that are connected to the virtual instruction, the explicit instruction. There will be an assignment. Teachers will be on standby in Google Meets for those students who will opt to have more guided support from teachers, or those students who would like to do those assignments independently and push them back through the Google Classroom to be graded. In addition to that, for the elementary school from grades 1 through 6th grade, you'll see about 30 minutes of kids checking in. So typically before their required ELA or math class starts, students will do a check-in with their teachers in their Google Meet to make sure, one, that they understand the assignment, that they're good to go, or to prepare them for the work for the day. And that will take place at different intervals prior to the explicit instruction. In addition to that, there will be approximately about 40 minutes of non-course subject teaching, which we call specials, for the elementary school and middle school students. So students will be engaging in either social emotional learning lessons, or art, or music, or any of the things that are non-academic, like computers or library. And then you can expect as a parent that there will be at least 60 minutes of digital-based games or learning tools that your child will be assigned to work independently on at home on a daily basis. So the one thing that is going to be set is teachers' office hours. Typically at the elementary school level, Wednesdays will be a staggered day, pre-K through 12th grade. So if you are a parent who needs to access us during the evening, we will have one late day, and teachers will have set office hours. Some of those office hour time will be set with parents who have scheduled appointments. This year, we're going to be doing what we call academic conferences, which are very similar to parent-teacher conferences, where parents will be meeting with their child, with their teacher on a regular basis to share the progress of students. Teachers will be monitoring those digital-based tools. We will be able to get reports. We'll be able to give you feedback on your child's performance in their virtual classroom setting, on their assignments in real time. So those academic conferences with the parent and the child are going to be critical to parents understanding if their child will need to be a part of what we're calling some small group instruction meetings or enrichment time, in which perhaps your child was taught a concept, and based on the teacher's grading of that assignment, your child may be asked to have extended time with small group guided instruction with the teacher on specific subjects. And so you can expect more of rigorous interactions and more teacher presence with guiding your child with completing assignments, and more real-time feedback as it pertains to your child's progress. High school students, will have a similar schedule where they will be attending, following their regular schedule. They will go to 3 of their regular classes one day, and then the next day they'll go to 4. So typically what you'll see across the district is about 3 hours of face-to-face instruction for kids in grades 1 through 12th grade. Preschool and kindergarten will be a little different. Preschool is a half-day program. Children and parents will be expected to be in those Google Meets. If your child is in an AM session, then your child will get instruction, and their schedule for their Google Meets will be in the AM. If your child is in the PM session for preschool, then you will have a PM virtual meeting or Google Meet. Kindergarten, they will have a schedule that is similar to that of the students in elementary school, where they'll see about 180 minutes of virtual face-to-face instruction that a parent will need to help support. You'll see a lot more digital-based tools for our preschool and kindergarten students around learning the early components of language development, around letter recognition and numbers and counting. We have purchased iPads for preschool and kindergarten students. We will be rolling out a new technology-driven 2-generational program, which will require parents to work closely with their kids with guidance from the teacher, in addition to the teachers working closely with kids. And so you'll see a lot more of technology-driven opportunities for students in preschool through kindergarten, because we do acknowledge that the foundational skills that parents are not prepared to provide that. And so we've been able to find really robust digital-based tools to help with the phonological awareness and the development of early language development skills and mathematics. And so that's a lot of what we should expect to see this school year. Very different from last year, where typically kids may have gone on a Zoom or a Google Meet for an hour a day, and the burden of the work was left to the kids to do independently. More interaction and guidance from our teachers, more teaching of new content and skills, and additional support from our teachers in smaller groups to guide kids to close those gaps where kids need additional support with learning.
Thank you, Dr. Cade. I think that you must slide that speaker back over. Thanks. So as you can see, folks, this is going to be a lot different than what the March to June experience was like. Kids are going to have a lot more interaction with teachers on a daily and regular basis. And because we're providing the digital device, we're going to be downloading all of the appropriate apps and technology data points to be able to have you work very closely with your teachers. So that's a lot of information Dr. Cade just gave you. We're going to be sending all this out again in written format, so you'll be able to see it. We're going to have other virtual forums where you can ask questions and get specific help as well. Dr. Sturgill, we got a lot of questions, as you might imagine, on special education and students who have special needs. Can you talk a little bit about what services are scheduled to be provided for students who are on an IEP? And then the big question from probably the football players is, will students receive breakfast and lunch?
Yes. So we'll start with the easy question first. Yes, we'll provide breakfast and lunch, just like we did during the summer. We'll have opportunities across the city where families could come and get their food, and also by the school. So we have a plan to provide breakfast and lunch, just like we did during the summer. And yes, parents, we have a lot of questions around Iep Services. I can tell you that Student Services is working with Dr. Cade's team to ensure that the students who are on the IEP get services according to their IEP. So over the next week, especially the week of the 24th, when our staff comes back, parents will be receiving a phone call from that staff member outlining the services that your student is going to receive according to the IEP. So just give us about a week. We're working on more details, but definitely the week of the 24th, a staff member, a teacher will be contacting you to go over the plan and go over the details of how we're going to serve your student.
So again, we just want to encourage everybody, if there's any question or any concern that you have, give us a call, email us, myself, we'll get it to the right staff member. So let's open up the phone lines in the adage of the old school style. And I'll ask KK to give us a couple of questions from our Facebook fans.
So our first question is, if families do not have access to internet at home, will we be able to help them out as well? We know the computers are covered, but what about internet access?
Great question. So let me repeat that for my staff and for those in our audience. So the question is essentially, once we provide the device, what's the next step in terms of support that the district can provide as it relates to connectivity, which is one of the 4 pillars of our technology plan. So I'll let Dr. Cade talk a little bit about that. And then also a little bit about our strategy around hotspots and some things like that.
Yes, thank you, Dr. Sanders. I've been working very closely with Mr. Eckenrode, Mr. Hall, and Dr. Sturgill, and a team of our colleagues here at the district. We're exploring 2 options. We're exploring some Buckeye internet-based home connectivity, in addition to hotspot devices that would be cellular driven. One of the vendors that we've been working closely with is Sprint. We have a few grant requests out, in addition to our local foundation and philanthropic explorations and support we're seeking. Just as early as late as today, Mr. Hall, Mr. Eckenrode, and I met, and Mr. Hall is submitting for a connectivity grant with the Ohio Department of Education. In addition to, I know Murray and Murray Foundation have submitted support for some connectivities, hotspots for us to provide that. As a part of our technology rollout, we understand the significance and importance of connectivity as it relates to being able to effectively teach at home. And so we are looking to be able to provide that support to families who may not have connectivity in an efficient and an effective way.
I know one of the questions we got during the March to June period was the bandwidth that was necessary for students to do the quality of work, particularly if they were downloading videos or downloading other more substantial content. And so one of the things we look forward to resolving is having the device itself, and then 2, having the capacity to offer sufficient bandwidth so that students can have the sufficient space they need to get the work done. Mr. Hall, you want to talk a little bit about the grant that Dr. Cade was referencing to let the folks know how we're progressing in securing that opportunity?
Yes, actually, fresh off the presses, it was submitted today. Actually, the grant was opened up Monday afternoon. So within about 48 hours, we were able to collaborate as a leadership team and submit a grant for the connectivity broadband grant that was just issued or opened up by the State Department of Education. So it is somewhat of a competitive grant. We won't hear back. We hope to hear back within hours or a couple of days, because the deadline to apply is next week. So we fully anticipate that is a grant of up to $250,000 that you might have heard of mentioned by the governor being mentioned, of a $50 million pool for the entire state of Ohio, but each school district can apply for up to $250,000, which we have applied. So we hope to hear back momentarily to assist our families and students in their connectivity needs for this upcoming school year.
The bottom line is that our district is doing everything possible to identify funds and resources and opportunities for our students. We don't want our students to be at any disadvantage, and the device was a big hurdle. The connectivity is also was a challenge for the March to June period, and we're feeling pretty good going into the year that we'll be able to upgrade that substantially. What's the next question, Ms. Pugh?
Will there be flexibility for families who may not be able to be on the computer during the day due to working until 5 or 6 p.m. at night?
Okay, I think the answer to that is yes. Now, obviously, during the teacher time, I think it's important for the student to have to be online with the other students in his or her class. I think being able to see them, being able to interact with them, the Google platform allows for small group interaction among students and the teacher. And so there will be some times I believe, and Dr. Cade and Dr. Sturge can add to this, but that throughout the day, that's important for that student to interact with other students. One of the things that I think we'll be doing as well is certainly there will be some of the lessons and or assignments that will be posted in a way that will allow the student to go back at a later time to either view the video or to respond in some way. So essentially, I would hope that a student would carve out some time during the regular school day, but obviously the digital age means that you can kind of access it at many different times during the course of the day. And that'll be an option for students as well.
Yes.
Anything to add to that?
Yes, we'll have
Dr.
some
Cade or Dr. Sturge?
asynchronous and synchronous times. So some of the lessons will be recorded and posted, but it will be vitally important for students to be in their Google Meets at required times. What we would like to do is maintain a level of normalcy for students as we think about the future and transitioning back to face-to-face instruction. Students in their interactions virtually in their classrooms with their teachers is significantly important. Being customer driven, we certainly understand that there are parents who would like to sit with their kids and provide support with them at home. So we're going to provide those videos and those pieces and assignments. In addition to those academic conferences, that is the time that parents can schedule. And we have already set aside that one late day for those families that may have a schedule where they may need to access us in the evening. So we're thinking ahead of those pieces. Thank you.
I think the interactive piece to me seems to be a big distinction from the last time when we got a lot of feedback from parents about the student experience online. You know, things were posted, kids had to take the initiative and effort to go out and kind of find it. I'm really excited this time that we'll have a lot more interactive work and not a lot more engaging work between the teacher and student, and candidly between student and student. I think I'm looking forward to that opportunity. What's next, KK, for us out there?
What is the return date for paraprofessionals? And is it the same as sports camp?
August
So everyone
24th.
returns on the
Everybody returns on the 24th,
24th,
August 24th.
So let me repeat that since I'm closest to the microphone. So if you work for Sandusky City Schools, we look forward to seeing your report on August the 24th. That's our day to start for our staff, faculty and staff. And our first day for students will be Tuesday, September the 8th. Those of you in my generation will probably appreciate that a little bit because schools traditionally started after Labor Day, way back in the day. So this year we're having that late start. We're so hopeful that soon we'll get back to our regular schedule. One of the things that we shared out at the board meeting, I just want to repeat this for parents as well, is we're looking at the return of school in sort of 3 steps. Step 1 for us is going to be the virtual step. That's what's going to start on September the 8th. That's what Dr. Cade, Dr. Sturgill, Mr. Hall referenced with regard to the grant we're seeking out. So this is a technology-driven part of the work. And then step 2, based upon our ability to start to gather at some level, we anticipate going to what we call our hybrid plan. And if you remember, we shared this out a few weeks ago where a student would essentially be in school, physically in school 2 days a week. And then the other 3 days would be a form of digital and or customized kinds of services. Students would be grouped in either group A or B. And group A would go to school on Monday and Tuesday. Group B would go to school on Thursday and Friday. And then Wednesday would be a personal customized day for students and faculty. And then step 3 that we're all excited and hopeful to get back to sometime soon is our traditional face-to-face Monday through Friday interaction.
Are the middle school and high school students going to receive their schedule soon? If they need to make changes, what is the preferred method for them to do that?
Okay, Dr. Sturgill, you want to take that?
Yeah, not a problem. So the answer is over the next week, both Mr. Talbot and Mr. Kozak will be sending out student schedules for each student. And now we know that there's going to be some changes that students will have to make.
please contact, starting August 24th, the counselors at the high school and middle school. They'll be there, and we can start making schedule changes at that time.
Are these schedule changes, Dr. Sturgill, you're encouraging them to contact them by phone or
Yeah,
through
definitely by
email?
phone.
Okay.
Phone or email is the best way to do it right now. Yes.
Yeah, and if there is a meeting, it'll need to be scheduled and customized for that
Yes.
particular student, if we're able to do that.
Yes.
Did that cover that ticket?
How are we managing electives and career tech classes like welding and cosmetology?
Great question.
Yeah, same thing. So that's a great question. We are working on that as far as the fine arts and the career tech. They will still have to attend class virtually. We'll probably have the dynamic of starting with a lot of book work up front. And as we go back to school, go more into the hands-on learning of the career tech or fine arts. But we also talked about doing some one-on-one maybe between teacher and student, having them come in for some skill level work with the career tech field and with the fine arts. So, we're working through a lot of those issues. We're getting the feedback from the teachers and from the staff about what they would like to do around career tech and fine arts. So we're looking at many ways to meet the needs of the student, and that's what we're doing.
Okay. All right, excellent.
Is there a specific supply list for at home? We know we just posted the one for when we go back to school, but is there anything special they need for being at home?
Supply list,
The
Dr.
same,
Katie.
it will be the same supply list. They can refer to the supply list.
So the answer is the same supply list.
Correct.
Okay,
Plenty of coffee.
I'm sorry.
That's plenty of coffee. For parents.
How will testing work while we're being virtual?
State testing or,
Both.
okay, Dr. Kate.
So we anticipate that state testing will be suspended for the year. And I know that there are people lobbying, legislators are lobbying to ensure that that is secured. Regarding other assessments, we are working with different outside vendors. For example, for MAP testing, we use that as diagnostic data to design instruction for kids. We have worked with NWEA. The vendor has set it up so that they have been able to secure it and will be able to push that out remotely. In addition to any assessments that teachers give students in class, they'll be able to push that out through the Google Classroom in their assignments, and kids will sit and take their tests virtually in the class, and the teachers can monitor those assessments. In addition to some of the digital-based tools that we've purchased, they have built-in assessments, and they have the capacity to build real-time assessments so that teachers can grade them and see the grades and see kids interacting with those tests as they're taking them. So we have a variety of ways remotely to provide assessments securely in terms of monitoring students as they are taking these assessments to ensure that they're valid.
I would add one other piece to that, to Dr. Cade's summary. Obviously, the state testing part at this point, we haven't gotten specific clarity as to how that would be handled. Now, last year, obviously, since there was a statewide mandate of how schools would be operating, the testing was canceled, if you will, for that year, for that school year. At this point, we don't have that clarity. We anticipate that might likely be the case, but until that is indeed clear, we'll certainly proceed as though we are testing and preparing kids in the best way that we can.
How are we working with teachers who have students as well? They're teaching and they have students.
So so the question there essentially is really centers around, how can the district help with childcare for working professionals, people who have their own children who may live in another area and their kids go to another district and they may work for us here in Sandusky City Schools. So our position on that basically is we value and we appreciate all of our employees. We understand the complexity that's associated with the difficult decisions that parents and workers have to make in this tough environment. We'll continue to do that. We also very candidly have a responsibility to address the students and families in our community. in terms of how we can meet their needs as well. So we certainly want to look for innovative strategies or ways in which to help with those perspectives. And in fact, read in the Wall Street Journal today that a lot of companies are looking for ways to offer different schedules or different processes. I know Dr. Kate mentioned the potential of a Wednesday evening kind of format. And in an ideal world, we would have maybe 2 ways of offering instruction a day and an evening kind of dynamic if we were able to manage those kind of things. I would say this for not just our employee base, but for our critical thinkers in our community. If you have suggestions on ways in which the district might be able to address some of these challenging family matters, we're open to that suggestion. And if any of our business leaders and corporate leaders are listening to our Facebook live communication today, if you would like to help the district, if you would like to provide a grant and or some other support for our kids and families, we certainly welcome that support. Our community has always been gracious to us, but clearly we're in unprecedented times here. And if you are so inclined, please reach out to me or any of the board members, and we certainly can follow with a personal conversation of how you can help us. So this is going to be our last question for tonight. For the live part, if you have other questions, go ahead and put them on your Facebook post, and then we will respond to you individually. And then KK will, in the next day or so, post these questions on our website. So if you weren't able to listen in today, you'll be able to see the Q&A that we had and respond to those questions. So our last question for the evening is,
will we be sending all of this information home in letter format to families?
the question is, will we be sending all the information home in letter format of all the things we discussed? And the answer is absolutely yes. We don't want to bombard you an awful lot, but we will be sending home probably multiple times information about the school day, about how to register your time to have for your laptop pickup, and the training that's going to go along with that, filling out your medical form for the year, addressing issues of athletics and activities will be done. So please, please, please pay attention to we'll be sending things out through our app. We'll be posting things on our social media platforms, but we will be definitely sending out easy to read, easy to follow materials that will allow you to comprehend all of this content that we share with you tonight. We recognize, folks, as we close out this evening, that we gave you a lot of information tonight, and hopefully you maybe taped it so that you can go back and listen to some of the questions and answers. We want to work with you. We want to partner with you as we always have. We want you to be a part of the Sandusky City Schools, where we have pride, tradition, and excellence in what we do. We have a long legacy of support and partnering with our families and our community. We love and support the kids in this district and our families, and we want to do everything possible, not just to meet your needs, but to exceed them. So you'll be hearing from us in this platform and other ways going forward. Please check your mailbox for letters and information that we'll be sending home. We look forward to continuing our communication with you. A reminder, the first day for students is Tuesday, September the 8th. That's the students' first day of school. All faculty and staff, your first day to report is August the 24th. If you want to contact me, you can reach me at askdrsanders@scs-k12.net, or you can call me directly at 419-984-1000. Thank you, Dr. Cade. Thank you, Mr. Hall. Thank you very much, Dr. Stevens. We appreciate my team being here, and we look forward to talking with you very soon. As always, go Streaks.